Hi, I'm Life Coach Landry, and the topic is 7 traits of a true friendship. Finding friends who encourage and strengthen who we are is important, especially as you get older because you don't cross as many people anymore. So the people that you do have, you want to value whether they're an asset to your life or they're a liability, right? So I'm going to give you 7 traits I think that identify who good, strong people who strengthen who you are and you should keep around. Number 1 is friends who are empathetic. And being empathetic is the ability to actively try and take yourself out of your own shoes and put yourself in their shoes. Identifies people who are empathetic. People who constantly only talk from their own shoes are people who are truly never involving or investing themselves in who you are, so they never look at anything from your point of view. And because they don't do that, they're kind of more of a liability than an asset to your life, right? You'll find that you have a lot of miscues with these type of people, and that you're almost a burden for them to have to figure out and navigate through life with, right? Number 2, friends who are selfless, right? Our friends who are the most happy and positive are going to be the ones who are grounded, who care, who don't always think about themselves. They're able to understand their own life experiences, but aren't consumed with them to the point where they have to sacrifice your friendship because something's always happening in their life that's very important. Instead they take action to solve problems of others, right? And as a life coach, I definitely take a lot of time with my friends. Anytime they're feeling something, I always say, hey, call me up. Hey, you need to talk about it? You want to grab a cup of coffee? Those are people who care about what's going on in your life because they're willing to take time out of their schedule to help address your life. Those are important people for you to keep around. You should pay attention to people who do that. The people who you contact and it's inconvenient for them to have to listen or talk about your issues are people who don't really value your friendship in a way that is healthy. Okay. Number 3, this one's self-explanatory. Friends who are trustworthy. Okay. Being trustworthy is a trait that is essential for any relationship to have any kind of cohesiveness and progress, right? You have to be honest with them. It doesn't mean that you've never lied to them. We all make mistakes, but what it does mean is that the majority of the time, you don't find it okay to lie to them. You don't find it okay not to give them the truth. You always want them to have the truth because you're looking for their honest friendship feedback, and also teaches you that when it has nothing to do with either of you, you can trust them to help with outside situations, okay? Number 4, friends with shared interest. Whether this pertains to hobbies, sports, goals, education, values, religion, a whole scope of things, we often prefer spending time with people who are a lot more like us than are different from us. Remember, opposites attract, but they typically don't last, right? This allows for an immediate connection. Ultimate strength comes from people who, as soon as you talk to them, you're almost immediately on the same page. There's a reason why people stick with what's comfortable to them, and that also applies for friendships, okay? Number 5, friends with different perspectives and backgrounds. Now, you might look at the last one and say, well, that doesn't really go together. Actually, it does, because it means they can still come to the same conclusion as you, even though they have different attributes to add to the same situation. That makes them an asset. The time that you can truly grow as a human being in this world with people is both professionally and personally, is when you have an opportunity to listen to people who are different than you, even though they can ultimately arrive at the same conclusion as you, right? Sometimes you remain in a fixed mindset in your life, and when you hang on to people who only agree with everything you do and the way to get there, let's say an example would be you want to leave a relationship that you're not happy in. All right. They look at you and they say, stay in this relationship even for another month is hazardous to you. It's better for you just to start moving on now. And as a friend, I'll help you do that. Whereas you might say, no, I'm pissed off because they did A, B, and C to me, and I want to make them pay for that before I leave a relationship. So basically, you're taking an unhealthy route, and they're saying, hey, I agree with you that you should leave it, but I look at it differently in the way you should go about it. So they're coming from a completely different perspective, but they agree with your same conclusion, but they don't agree with your path. Those people are assets. They're giving you other variables that you may not consider because you're blind in what you're doing. Okay? Number 6, and to me, this is the most important one, friends that are humorous. The best friends are simply the ones who you know how to have a laugh with, even in ugly, tumultuous times that are really just beating you down really hard, sometimes it just feels really good. They're the ones who bring you joy, hope, comfort, and a mindset of difficult situations, and they're constantly helping you move forward rather than look back, because that's not where you're going. And number 7, friends that are team players. Okay, a trait we learned as children is that we often, I think, forget is being a team player and putting the needs of others before us in order to accomplish a goal is why people make connections with us in the first place. When you're in a relationship and they learn that you're empathetic towards their needs, they connect. When you're empathetic with their needs, they connect. You see, there's a connection. It's an ongoing cycle. Often we forget as being children and other childs of different perspectives, why we engaged in them in the first place is because there was some team coordination and ability to have a good time while doing it. Okay, look, contacting friends should never be a burden or on a to-do list. Make a conscious effort to integrate communicating with friends that are important to you and that you love and you think make you stronger into your life. Whether it's calling a friend on your way home from work, setting aside an evening once a month, once a week in order to spend time with them, or just having a phone call or an email or anything like that. Maintain what you find important to you, both with family, friendships, and relationships. If something's important to you, maintenance is important. Nothing runs by itself, okay? But we all know that the best friends are the ones that you can pick up with, and let's say you haven't been able to talk to them in a long time because something that month particularly got you taken away from them. But when you do pick up the phone, it's like you never left off. Those are the people you know you have chemistry with right away, okay? So put down your phones, put down all your social media, get out there, have a cup of coffee with your friend, connect with them. The more we invest in our relationships, the less we push away from becoming a single-minded entity. Sometimes you can slip into it's too comfortable being by yourself and single and not having to put effort into maintaining anything else around you, right? That can feel good. It's like lifting off a burden sometimes, but at the end of the day, those burdens sometimes that we let go of often have tons of pros to them, even though there's a couple of burdens in there, right? So when you're struggling with the many obstacles of life that's going to throw at you, know that you're not alone. And remember that people in your life that you actively reach out to them, the investment you make will enrich both of your lives, and you should always continue that, okay? So if you find this information of value, show some appreciation by buying a guy a cup of coffee and donating below, and I will talk to you soon.